In this demonstration, I'll show you how to make a cheap standing light for a terrarium, fish tank, or anything similar. This light should cost around $30 to make and is simple to construct. This fixture in particular was designed for my 125-gallon terrarium. You could use this fixture on a tank of any size if altered accordingly. Depending on the size of your tank, you will need more or less lights, which will alter the cost. For this project, you will need a few boards, some pendant light fixtures, planters, white and black spray paint, wood screws, small screws, and light bulbs of your choice. To begin, we must discover how long our top board needs to be. This board will hold all the lights in place. As you can see, we are measuring from the inside of the aquarium's frame. Be as exact as possible when taking this measurement. Cutting the board a little bit longer is fine, a bit shorter won't work. This is because you still want to be able to access your setup without removing the lights. My board ended up being 70 3/4 inches long. After marking your board, cut it to size. As you can see, the board fits pretty snug within the frame of the tank. Now it's time to prepare our planters for the fixture. We are going to spray paint the inside white to reflect more light into the enclosure. This is why I'm covering up all the holes with masking tape. I also spray painted the outside black because I got white paint smudges everywhere. This part is totally optional though. Next, we are going to drill holes into the board we just cut and into the planters. The size of these holes should be the same as the diameter of your pendant light fixture. They are usually 1.5 inches in diameter, but you should check if otherwise. I started by measuring my center point and went out 11 inches for each additional hole. As you can see, I'm using a spade bit to bore this hole, but there are more efficient bits that you could use, especially for the planters. Also, I drilled a center hole on each planter before using the spade to make the job a little easier. Although the hole is a little frayed, it will work just fine. Now we are going to see how tall our fixture needs to be. At this point, there is no sense in attaching the planters. We'll simply place our pendant sockets into the holes, tape them on with some masking tape, and screw in the bulbs. Afterward, remove your current light fixture and plug in the new one. The height above your setup dictates how much coverage you will receive. The taller the light, the more coverage. Once you've decided on appropriate coverage, measure the distance from your tank. I decided on 14 inches. Find something to stack your board on that is roughly the same height as what you decided is appropriate. Next, get one of your smaller boards and hold it up to the top board as seen here. These will be the legs of your light. Don't worry, they don't have to be exact just yet. For now, we are trying to discover the proper angle to cut these boards to. You'll likely have to do this a few times to get it right. I ended up with roughly a 65-degree angle. Remember this angle because we will use it again shortly. After you've finalized one board, use it as a guide and cut 3 more. Next, measure the width of your top board and cut 2 boards to this length. Get some wood glue and clamps and attach these boards on either side of the top board. Let them dry and then remove the clamps. Next, get your legs and add some glue. Clamp them down once they are evenly spaced. Let them dry and then remove the clamps. Set your light on your tank and see if it fits properly. Don't worry if the legs bow in slightly. The next step will eliminate this. Cut 4 short boards using the same angle as earlier. After this, clamp them on the legs so that they line up with the bottom of your aquarium's frame and mark the legs with a pencil. These boards will hold the stand in place and stop the legs from bowing inward. Next, remove these boards, add glue, and clamp them back in place using the line you just made. Now we are going to mark the stands for screws. The wood glue is strong enough to hold this together, but I want to add screws just in case. Pre-drill your holes and add the screws. Remove the clamps and do the same thing on these boards. Next, we will paint or stain the stand. Typically I would stain something like this, but I didn't feel like it for this project. You could also do a few coats of polyurethane if desired. After the paint dries, we will attach the planters using some small screws. You can simply screw them right through, no need to pre-drill. I used 4 screws for each planter. As you can see, unfortunately some of the paint chipped off. That's what you get for using the cheap stuff. To avoid this from happening, I suggest using Krylon Fusion paint as it bonds to plastic once cured. Finally, place your pendant lights into the sockets. Mine fit snugly, so there was no need to attach them otherwise. You could hot glue or silicone the fixtures in place if necessary. Screw in your light bulbs and put your light in place. Although my fluorescent lights did well for years, they just weren't cutting it anymore. They were beginning to make noise, and I was tired of replacing starters. Plus, the coverage for this fixture is much better, and overall it is more cost effective.